The laughter among the stars. The Galactic Council had gathered again in the shimmering halls of Aurealis Prime, a planet known for its endless skylights and crystalline towers. Delegates from 100 species sat on their floating platforms, their voices echoing across the chamber, and as usual, the name that brought amusement to everyone's lips was humanity. They called Earth a backward world, a planet of dust and water, forgotten in the corner of the Orion Arm. The Kelnar ambassador, a tall insectoid creature, clicked his mandibles in laughter. "They still use combustion ships," he said. "They still live on one planet," the others joined in, mocking the tiny blue world that dared to call itself civilized. At the center of the chamber sat Commander Thalcor of the Vash Dominion. "One of the oldest powers in the galaxy?" He smirked as he spoke. "Humans tried to enter our trade routes again," he said. "They sent a message saying they wanted peaceful exploration." He leaned forward. "But we all know what that means. Another primitive race begging for scraps." The laughter grew louder. Some even played holograms of ancient Earth shuttles, small metal ships burning fuel, shaking as they lifted from the atmosphere. To them, humanity was a joke that refused to die. But in one corner of the chamber, a silent observer watched. Her name was Elira, a half-human diplomat from Mars Colony. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned like twin stars. She had listened to their laughter for years. Every insult, every mockery, every word that told her kind they would never belong among the stars. She rose from her seat, her voice steady. "You all laugh because you fear what you don't understand," she said. The chamber went silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to her, blinking, glaring. "Earth has been quiet." "Yes," she continued. "But silence doesn't mean weakness," Thalcor chuckled. "Oh? Then where is your mighty Earth fleet?" He sneered. "Where are your worlds? Your star cities?" Elira looked at him and smiled. "They are closer than you think." Her words hung in the air like a storm about to break. The council erupted again in laughter, but this time, there was something uneasy beneath it. Something they couldn't quite name. Back on the far side of the Milky Way, hidden within a nebula that swallowed light itself, Earth's secret stirred among the clouds of glowing gas. A vast silhouette moved, metallic and alive. The city was not on a planet, nor on a station. It was floating, orbiting, breathing. A city so large it had its own weather, its own gravity. Its name was Eden Prime, humanity's first celestial metropolis. Within its core, engines pulsed with light beyond fusion, technology born from generations of quiet advancement. From its towers, fleets launched without noise, disappearing into slipspace corridors invisible to most sensors. Captain Reeves stood on one of the viewing decks, watching stars slide across the city's transparent shields. "They still laugh at us, sir," said a young officer. "They call us primitive," Reeves smiled faintly. "Good," he said. "Let them laugh. It makes the surprise even better." Behind him, hundreds of screens glowed with interstellar data. Transmission intercepts, council chatter, all mocking Earth. And yet, deep beneath those words, the humans had built something the galaxy had never seen. The celestial city was not just a home, it was a fortress, a ship, a symbol. The culmination of every dream humanity had ever dared to make real. And soon, when the time was right, the galaxy would see it. Not as a myth, but as a rising dawn. For humanity's silence was never surrender. It was preparation. And their laughter would soon turn to fear. The transmission that shook the council. The laughter in the council chamber had barely faded when the first alarm rippled through the galaxy. A communication signal, broad, encrypted, and ancient, appeared on every major frequency. No one could trace the source. It wasn't from any known empire, nor from any registered relay. It was coming from deep space. From a region long marked as uninhabited, the signal carried a single message. It wasn't a voice nor a code. It was music, a haunting, slow melody made of mathematical harmony. The kind that spoke of intelligence far beyond measure. The council's technicians tried to decode it, but the encryption folded into itself, shifting like a living equation. Finally, the screen flashed a translation. "To those who mocked the children of Earth, look to the edge of the veiled nebula." Elira's heart skipped. She knew that place. It was where her ancestors had vanished 2 centuries ago. When Earth had gone dark, she turned to Thalcor, who stared at the hologram, his mandibles clicking nervously. "What is this trick?" he hissed, but his voice trembled. "No trick," Elira whispered. "This is a call." Across the galaxies, news spread faster than light. The empires that had once ridiculed humanity suddenly turned their telescopes toward the veiled nebula. What they saw there silenced every mocking voice. Out of the nebula's glowing dust emerged structures, massive and radiant. Not ships, not exactly, they were cities, floating like jewels in orbit around an invisible core, thousands of them, linked by beams of light and plasma bridges, forming a constellation shaped like a spiral galaxy itself. Each city shone with the insignia of Earth, a simple blue circle crossed by a silver star, and at the heart of it all a light ignited. It grew brighter, stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then a transmission followed. A face appeared on every council screen. Human, calm, steady, ageless. "This is High Marshal Reeve of the Terran Federation," the voice said. "For centuries you have mocked us, denied us, and called us primitive." His eyes glowed faintly as the celestial city behind him shimmered. "We were silent not because we were weak, but because we were building." Gasps filled the chamber. The Kelnar ambassador dropped his data tablet. The sound echoed like thunder. Falcor rose to his feet. "Impossible," he shouted. "No species could have built such things unseen." Elira looked at him and said softly, "Humans could," Reeve's message continued. "We extend peace, not fear. But remember this. Earth is not a planet anymore. It is a people, a unity, a force among the stars." Then, the signal ended for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Council was silent. Outside, through the massive windows of Borealis Prime, a strange glow appeared in the distant dark, a shimmer, then a spark, then an entire horizon of light. It wasn't a weapon, nor a fleet, it was the dawn of a civilization that had finally returned, and from that moment on none dared to laugh again. The day humanity returned to the stars, the galaxy did not sleep that night. Every sensor array, every probe, every warship turned its eyes toward the veiled nebula. What they saw made the strongest empires tremble. The celestial city of Earth was no illusion. It was alive, breathing light across the void. From its glowing core extended hundreds of silver corridors, each stretching into space like veins of energy. Within hours, smaller vessels emerged, sleek, silver ships marked with the insignia of Earth, each silent, each perfect. They did not move through normal space, they shimmered, vanished, and reappeared across light years in a single heartbeat. No warp trail, no heat signature, no radiation. Only motion beyond known physics, the laws of travel themselves bowed before human innovation. On Borealis Prime, chaos spread through the Council. Reports came in of human fleets appearing across multiple systems. But they did not attack, they simply appeared and waited. As if the galaxy were holding its breath, Elira stood on the balcony of the Council Tower, her heart pounding. She had dreamed of this day, but never imagined she would live to see it. Above the sky, a single beam of blue light split the heavens. And then silence, a shape formed in the upper atmosphere. At first it looked like a moon, then the light dimmed, revealing what it truly was, a city, descending slowly, wrapped in clouds and plasma glow. The celestial metropolis itself had arrived, orbiting Borealis Prime like a silent god. The air trembled as its shadow fell over the capital. Millions looked up, unable to speak. Then a voice echoed across every device, every comlink, every mind. "This is the Terran Federation," it said. Calm and measured. "We come not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy we are still here." The alien citizens froze. For generations they had seen humans as weak, emotional, short-lived creatures. Now they realized those same fragile beings had forged something divine. Inside the celestial city, High Marshal Reeve walked through the grand hall. Columns of light stretched into infinity. Holographic oceans shimmered around him. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers moved with silent precision, their eyes filled with purpose. He stopped before a vast window overlooking the galaxy. "It's time," he whispered. "No more hiding." With a gesture, he opened a secure channel to the Council. Elira's image appeared, her face pale with awe. "Marshal Reeve," she said softly. "They are terrified." Reeve smiled. "Good," he said. "Now they will listen." The Council tried to assemble a response. Some demanded surrender, others screamed of trickery, but their arguments faded as the city began to sing. From its core, waves of light pulsed outward, music of stars and steel. It wasn't a weapon. It was a message written in frequencies older than the galaxy itself. It spoke of unity, memory, and a promise, humanity's return. The empires that had ruled unchallenged now realized the truth. Earth had never vanished, it had evolved, and now, the balance of power was no longer theirs to decide. When the celestial city spoke, the galaxy had never known silence like this. Even the stars seemed to pause all across known space. From the crimson deserts of Thalkor's dominion to the icy rings of Kelnar Prime, every transmission fell quiet. For the first time in thousands of years, no one dared to speak. Then the voice came, deep, calm, unmistakably human. "This is the voice of Earth," it said, echoing through every channel. "We remember the laughter." The words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. "We remember the wars you brought to our colonies, the treaties you broke and the blood we shed on Orialis Prime." Elira stood before the holographic projection, trembling. Every eye in the council was fixed on the giant display above the chamber. The image of the celestial city filled the screen, shining like a miniature sun behind it. The stars looked dim and small. Then the voice continued, softer now. "But we also remember hope in that instant." New visuals appeared. Holograms of Earth, the moon, Mars, the old colonies. People rebuilding cities after alien invasions. Children playing under new skies. Ships leaving the solar system with banners that read, "For all humanity." The council members watched in stunned silence. Even Thalkor's mandibles stopped clicking. "While you fought for power, we fought for survival," the voice said. "And in that struggle, we found something you forgot: unity." A beam of light extended from the celestial city into the void. Inside that beam, millions of small ships began to appear. Not warships, but vessels carrying emblems of peace, trade, and alliance. Each one glowing with the blue insignia of Earth, Elira whispered. "They're showing mercy," Reeves' voice replied across the chamber. "Steady and strong, we do not seek vengeance. Only respect," he paused, letting his words echo. "But if you threaten humanity again, the stars themselves will remember our wrath." A shockwave of energy rippled outward from the celestial city. It wasn't an attack, it was a signal broadcast. Data packets spread across the galaxy, revealing technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. Cures for diseases, solutions for famine, blueprints for interstellar energy. Gifts, not weapons. In that moment, the mockery died forever. Species who once mocked Earth now whispered the same words. Humans, builders of light. But deep in the shadows of the galactic rim, not everyone was at peace. The Dominion fleet stirred. Thalkor's eyes glowed with fury. "They mean to control us," he growled. "They hide their blades behind kind words." And in that darkness, the seeds of a new war began to take root. Yet above all their fear, the celestial city floated in silence. Its towers gleamed with starlight, and within its heart, Reeves stood with Elira beside him, looking down upon the galaxy that had once mocked them. "Let them choose," Reeves said quietly, "peace or oblivion. For humanity's light could heal or burn, and the galaxy was about to learn the difference." The shadow that challenged the light for a few precious weeks. Peace hung over the galaxy like a fragile dream. Trade routes reopened. Empires whispered the name Terran Federation, with both fear and respect. The celestial city orbited Orialis Prime like a guardian star, its shimmering light a reminder that humanity had returned. But deep within the dark sectors, the old powers conspired. Commander Thalkor sat in his war chamber, surrounded by maps of light and data streams. His claws scraped against the metal table as he glared at the image of the celestial city. "They think they can rise above us," he hissed. "But they are still flesh and blood." His advisors shifted nervously. One of them dared to speak. "But their power, my lord." "Their ships." Thalkor slammed a clawed fist against the screen. "Ships can burn," he growled, "and cities can fall," far from the Council's eyes. The Dominion fleets moved into position. Hundreds of stealth ships cloaked in quantum shadows, armed with weapons forbidden by galactic law. Their goal was simple: destroy the celestial city before humanity's influence spread too far. At dawn, the attack began. Silent missiles streaked across space. Invisible to normal sensors, they struck the outer defense rings first. Detonating in bursts of anti-light, the shockwave rippled through the void, shaking the foundations of Orialis Prime. The night sky turned crimson as the celestial city trembled, its shields flaring like burning suns. Inside the control hall, alarms wailed. Elira clutched the railing as sparks rained from the ceiling. "It's the Dominion," she shouted. "They've launched a full assault." Reeves' expression hardened, his voice calm even as the deck shuddered beneath him. "So they've chosen war," he said quietly. "Then we'll show them the cost of betrayal." With a single command, the city awakened. Across its surface, countless panels slid open, revealing vast arrays of hidden machinery. The once peaceful metropolis transformed before their eyes into a colossal warship. Its towers retracted, merging into armored spires. Its glowing rings expanded, forming an energy halo that rippled with raw power. The Dominion fleet closed in, firing waves of plasma torpedoes, each strike brighter than a star. Yet the city did not falter. Instead, it responded, not with weapons of destruction, but with precision born from mastery. Dozens of luminous orbs detached from its hull, silent and graceful. They drifted into the void, then vanished. When they reappeared, the Dominion ships were gone. No explosion, no debris, only silence. The entire attacking fleet had been erased from existence, removed as if they had never been. On Aurealis Prime, every leader watched the impossible unfold. Thalcor screamed in disbelief. "What have they done?" Elira turned to Reeve, her voice trembling. You erased them." Reeve's eyes glowed faintly. "No," he said. "We sent them back." "Back where?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He looked toward the stars. To the moment before they fired, the galaxy trembled. For humanity had just rewritten time itself. The message was clear. Earth no longer needed to fight wars to win them. As the silence deepened, Reeve turned to his officers, his voice steady and cold. "Send a message to the Council," he said. "The Terran Federation stands for peace, but if they come for us again, there will be no stars left to mock." The celestial city dimmed its lights, drifting once more into the soft glow of the nebula. But every mind in the galaxy remembered that day, the day the humans broke the laws of time and the day laughter finally died forever. The galaxy kneels before the light after the battle. The stars themselves seemed quieter. Across 1,000 worlds, fleets stood idle, their crews staring into the endless dark, whispering the same name: Earth. News of the Dominion's disappearance spread like wildfire, carried by frightened merchants and trembling diplomats. Entire civilizations that once mocked humanity now lit their skies with blue beacons of peace, hoping the Terran Federation would see. On Aurealis Prime, the Council of Empires met in secret. The great chamber that once echoed with laughter now felt like a tomb. No one dared to joke, no one dared to raise their voice. Every delegate remembered how one command from Reeve had erased an entire armada without a sound. Elira entered the chamber, her footsteps calm. Her face unreadable, she spoke softly. "Humanity does not seek your submission." Her words carried through the chamber like wind through glass. "But you will respect the light that you once scorned." The Kelnar ambassador trembled. "What is it you want?" he asked. Elira looked up at the great hologram of the celestial city above them, its rings glowing like a second sun. "We want balance," she said. "We want an end to the hunger for domination." Her eyes burned brighter. "And if you cannot give that, the Terran Federation will take the stars and remake them in peace." At that very moment, the skies of Aurealis Prime opened again. The celestial city descended once more, but this time it brought something new. From its hangars emerged colossal constructs, floating monuments of glass and silver, carrying forests, rivers, and human settlements inside. Humanity was not just showing power, they were offering life. Reeve appeared on every galactic broadcast, his voice calm and measured. "We bring the gift of renewal," he said. "These cities will orbit your dying worlds. Heal your skies, share our knowledge." He paused, the faintest shadow of steel in his tone. "But do not mistake compassion for weakness." The council bowed their heads. One by one, old rivals laid down arms. Forgotten empires sent envoys bearing flags of unity. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy agreed on something: that humanity had become the axis around which all life now turned. In the quiet after his speech, Reeve stood at the observation deck of the celestial city. Beneath him, stars drifted like sparks in a vast ocean. Elira joined him, her voice soft. "They're afraid." Reeve smiled faintly. "They should be," he said, "but fear can teach respect, and respect can build peace outside." The new Terran cities spread their light through the void. They carried songs of Earth, laughter of children, the heartbeat of a species that refused extinction. And slowly the galaxy began to kneel, not to a conqueror, but to a creator, for the humans had done what no empire ever could. They had turned mockery into miracles, and in doing so, had become the guardians of the stars themselves. The eternal dawn of humanity. 1,000 years seemed to pass in the blink of a star. The once proud empires of the galaxy had faded into harmony, bound not by fear but by reverence. At the center of it all drifted the celestial city, ageless, silent, radiant as the morning sun. Where once it had been built for defense, it now sang with life. Vast gardens bloomed inside transparent domes. Oceans shimmered beneath glass horizons. Children of many species walked side by side beneath banners of silver and blue. They called themselves the Unified, but in their songs, they still whispered one word with awe. Human High Marshal Reeve no longer wore armor. He stood among the gardens watching ships come and go, their drives whispering instead of roaring. Elira walked beside him, her face touched by the glow of dawn. "You did it," she said softly. "They listen now." Reeve smiled faintly. "It was never about making them listen," he answered. "It was about reminding them how to dream." From the heart of the city, a pulse of light rippled outward. Every world felt it, a warm wave of energy carrying a new code, not a command, but a gift. Within that light lay the final secret of Earth, the blueprint for harmony itself, a living system that balanced life, energy, and will, allowing any world to thrive without war or scarcity. The Council declared the beginning of a new era, the era of the dawn. Statues of old warriors were replaced by monuments of peace. Where fleets once clashed, now floated libraries and gardens. And on the anniversary of the first signal from Earth, every planet looked to the sky, searching for the glow of the city. In the deep chambers of the Federation, historians gathered the last message of Reeve before he disappeared into light. It was simple, spoken like a whisper carried by eternity. "We were mocked, we were forgotten, we were underestimated," he said. "But humanity does not fade, it evolves." The message ended. And from that day forward, no one ever saw the celestial city again. Some said it ascended beyond the physical realm, turning into pure energy. Others believed it became part of the universe itself. But the stars began to shimmer brighter, as if echoing laughter, the gentle kind full of hope. And when travelers cross the void now, they still tell the story of the people who rose from a single blue world, of the light that built cities among the stars, and of the dawn that never ended. Because humanity had not conquered the galaxy, they had illuminated it, and their light, eternal and kind, still burns across the heavens,